So it starts out with Rey, and she's in what seems to be an abandoned Star Destroyer. She has a staff on her back, which on a close-up kind of looks like lightsaber-ish. The handle, and it looks like it was just kind of cobbled together out of some pieces. So I mean, there, never know. So she's traversing a hollowed out Death Star. It's known that she's a scavenger at this point in the beginning. She's traversing Jakku. And then there's a shot of a space shuttle of some sort going into the air. Don't know whose it is, and you see some debris in the foreground. The shuttle that's taking off kind of looks like a Y-wing, but really can't tell. So, and then you have the Lucasfilms plate, and there's a propaganda speech with the First Order stormtroopers. About second row from the camera, you see some flame troopers, and it looks like towards the front you may have some snow troopers. In the foreground, you have your standard First Order stormtroopers, and it's a snowy, at least area, might even be a planet. I'm wondering if maybe Hoth was taken over at this point. And you had a grandstand with several officials of some sort who don't know what they're saying. It's kind of muffled in the background. And if you do notice that this, from the person standing in the front in the middle, just off to his right, you'll see Captain Phasma. And then you have Finn taking off his helmet, and then the next scene, right after him taking off his helmet, he collides with something after leaving a Star Destroyer. You don't see what he collided with, but I'm wondering if it's maybe he was shot at because he's abandoning his post. There is some audio saying that he was raced for this, but he has nothing to fight for. So maybe he became disenchanted, or he saw something that he doesn't agree with. And then his TIE fighter hurtles to the planet of Jakku, and he sees the settlement. Then you have Kylo Ren, the facade of Kylo Ren backside. Silhouette, I'm sorry. And it looks like he's on a Star Destroyer or some sort of command station. And next he is talking to Darth Vader's melted helmet, saying that he's going to continue on the legacy. Where or how he got this helmet, I'm sure will be released in the film. And then the next thing you see is Kylo Ren with his hand in front of Poe's face. And Poe does not seem to be too happy. My theory is that Kylo Ren is issuing some visions into Poe's head, and then it fades into like a planet blowing up or vaporizing. All the foliage is getting destroyed. And then there's an amazing space battle, dogfight with the Millennium Falcon and 2 TIE fighters. And then you have Finn and Rey on the Millennium Falcon, and Han Solo is pretty much telling them all the little stories that you've heard, because it has been, I think, 30 or 40 years since Return of the Jedi. So a lot of a lot of information kind of died off a bit, turned into mythology and rumors and old wives' tales. And Han is explaining that all the stories that you've heard are true. And it comes out this Christmas. And then after this Christmas, you see a group of characters standing there. One wielding a lightsaber. Obviously, that's Kylo Ren. And I'm assuming it's the Knights of Ren, the cult that are kind of like fanboys of Sith, though they supposedly aren't really force sensitive. And you'll see Kylo Ren wielding what seems to be a lightsaber, but as it's been described, and as you can tell, it's very rough, as if he has no training whatsoever. It's not very refined. It's kind of sloppy and archaic, but still viable. So there's a lot of theory on who Kylo Ren is. I'm not even going to go over those because, most of the theories that you hear, they're pretty much what I think as well. So as far as familial ties. And then there's another on-planet battle, huge battle, X-Wings, TIE Fighters. And then you have Poe and Finn crossing each other's path. And Finn's looking at Poe as he's walking by. And Poe kind of slaps Finn on the shoulder. Can't really tell if it's friendly or spiteful or, don't mess this up, kid type thing. It's definitely not jocular, but, we'll see as the movie progresses. More space battle. And it looks like Finn and Rey are evacuating themselves from Jakku. So you had, I don't know if it's the same planet. I'm not familiar with the terrain of Jakku, but it seems that from one scene, it was one planet, which is lush, has plenty of water and like that, to another terrain, which is sandy, very similar to Tatooine. And the ship that they were running to blows up. So this scene seems like it's very close to possibly the beginning of the film. And then you have this next scene right after that, which is just there's a lot in here. You have BB-8, you have Han, Finn, and Rey. They walk past a red robot that has is in between two pillars, and about a minute and 40 seconds in, the camera kind of tilts up, and you see all these banners hanging, and in the middle, with a kind of faded green background, you'll see a Mandalorian symbol, and a lot of people are speculating, well, they're going to see some Mandalores or maybe some clones or something like that. And my theory is it might be a pawn shop, or this is where Lando might have hidden himself. We know Lando exists because he's been cast. So we don't know where or what he's doing. So, but I don't know some of the other symbols. There are banners with other symbols on them. So maybe that might lend to a clue. We're continuing on here. And then right after that, immediately after that, you have R2-D2, which looks to be in front of a fire. Some people think Mustafar, but I think they're just in front of a bonfire. Nothing else lends to a molten planet. So, and you see someone reaching out to the chrome dome, a mechanical hand. So it's assumed that it's Luke. But I don't know. Anything's up in the air. And then you have the next scene immediately after that of Kylo Ren's personal craft landing on a planet on site. And it seems like that they're ushering people. The huts kind of remind me of the Sand People, though it's not obvious that those are Sand People being moved around. And then you have a shot of Captain Phasma leisurely strolling with a contingent of stormtroopers. And then you have Kylo Ren slashing down at something. And you don't see who or what, but very angrily and very haphazardly. Immediately you have Rey crying while looking at something like she does in disbelief. And there is something in the foreground, but it's not really given as to what it is. If that's the face by her head, it seems to be covered, maybe with a leathery item. There's some hair there on the right side of the screen. And then next shot is Finn, Chewbacca with a bandage on his arm, and Han Solo, and they're looking at something in disbelief, as if they can't believe they're getting rescued or something. They have their hands behind their heads. Then it continues on with BB-8 in an X-Wing, Poe's X-Wing, more dogfights. And then Rey is shooting at somebody or something angrily. And X-Wing is coming in, shooting at some stormtroopers. Yeah, I know this kind of seems kind of dull, but as I'm talking through this. But so scene after that is Kylo Ren turns to the camera with his hand up as if force pushing or maybe force choking something or somebody. I have a feeling somebody's yelling at him and he's not having any of it. And then you have the Millennium Falcon flying through what seems to be the abandoned Star Destroyer. Then the Star Destroyer, I'm assuming a different one, the command post is blowing up. And then you have Leia resting her head on Han's chest, very distraught. And then you have Finn lighting up what some people think is Luke Skywalker's and Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. And from the still here, it does have very similar characteristics. And then immediately the next scene, you see a figure in front of Finn, and Finn looking somewhat exhausted with the lightsaber out. The person in the foreground is actually Kylo Ren without his helmet. And you know this because you see the lightsaber come up with the cross piece, red lightsaber, and he's about to strike at Finn. And then that, I believe, is the end of that. So there are a lot of parts in this that that jump out at you. You know, the possible turning of Poe to the dark side by Kylo Ren. You know, little tidbits here and there. But overall, they did a really good job of hiding a lot of spoilers. Though I think they were kind of giving some lip service in certain areas to fans, you know, ones that are familiar with slight nuances and such. And I'm not going to say I know everything there is you need to know about Star Wars, but I know more than the layperson, I would think. A little background of what we know as far as the Knights of Ren. Ren is the Order's name. So Kylo Ren, for example, Ren everybody has. Kylo is his first name that we know of. Kylo specifically has an unhealthy and this is from somebody on set, I can't remember who, has an unhealthy obsession with Darth Vader. So he kind of sees him as a father figure or a mentor, even posthumously. So people wonder if there's a tie there with Skywalkers and Kylo. And what we do know is from the books, from the older books, is that Leia Leia and Han have twin offspring themselves. So, and then supposedly Luke's a father. So there's a lot of, little intricacies, and we aren't exactly sure what Disney and JJ and the writers have extrapolated from the mythos. So because the extended universe has been redacted, it's no longer canon. So there's a lot of different things. Again, going back to the Mandalorian banner, we do know that Boba Fett still exists in the universe, even though he was part of the extended universe as far as survival. But being such a popular character and such, and such a deep character, he would probably be one that you want to keep around and you can expand on. So, we'll see. I'm really excited. I have a 10 p.m. Ticket on the 17th for IMAX 3D, and I'm really excited to go see it. And hopefully, nothing will come out between now and then. So,